Good evening, everyone. Good evening, students. I'm C. Ankit Sharma, your income tax faculty for the session. I welcome you all in our revisionary class for income tax, which will consist chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 1, of course, you must have gone through with the provision. It was basic concept. And chapter 2 is residential status and scope of total income. So it's good to see you all again. And I believe you must be working very hard to reach or to get the goal of your life to become a chartered accountant as soon as possible. So your examination would be in May 2026. So almost 2 months left. And I believe you are all completed your syllabus and must be in the revision mode. And this is the time to buckle up yourself and please start revision each and every chapter with the numerical also. So in today's class, we will go through with the questions part majorly. So already we have discussed the provision. So if you have any issue in the provision, any specific query in any provision, then you can ask and we will discuss RTP questions, case scenario question, MTP question, which would be like the similar kind of question which is going to be asked in the examination. So let's get started. And in the revision class, there is, because we have to cover 2 chapters in a single class. So generally we do not have any story. And of course, we do not discuss any kind of codes for the day, etc. So this is pure hardcore class for the purpose of knowledge, etc. So it is advisable that you should revise the provision before every revisionary class. So because our next revisionary class would be day after tomorrow, which will consist salary and house property. So if you want to get the maximum benefit of any subject revisionary class, this is utmost important that you should revise that chapter with the illustration, test your knowledge question, etc. So it would be really easy to all of you to understand the provision. So before starting the class, before take up the questions, let me discuss with you about the basic thing of chapter number 1 and chapter number 2. So in chapter number 1, which was basic concept, we are not going in depth. We are just trying to understand what actually we have covered in basic concept chapter. So you must be remember that we have discussed the introduction part, that why income tax came into force. So the basic concept consists introduction part and the applicability of this act, about the Finance Act, about the circulars, notification, what is the meaning of circular, notification, Finance Act, Supreme Court, etc., etc. The other part regarding the definition part, we have gone through with multiple definition to make you understand certain things under Income Tax Act, which was regarding the definition of person, definition of assessee, definition of income, of course, previous year, assessment year, etc. Then we have also gone through with certain special topic like the previous year for the income. There are certain incomes, the previous year of that income would be the same year in which income is going to be assessed to tax. Generally, previous year income going to be assessed in the next year, that is called assessment year. But there were certain cases in which income of previous year is going to be assessed in the same year. So can you tell me 1 or 2 example of that income? What kind of those income which is going to be assessed in the same year in which it has been earned? So any one of you can give me the example? Any example of those kind of income? Let me see. Okay, good evening, Navneet. Person living from India permanently. Yes, absolutely correct. Navneet is asking, sir, I have a doubt for income deemed to accrue in India. Please explain it. Look, we cannot go through in the detail because that topic has been discussed in detail in the basic concept chapter. But I can tell you the meaning, exact what is the meaning of income deemed to accrue or arise in India. So if there is any income which is indirectly connected to the Indian resources, that is called deemed to arise in India. So if you are earning any income directly from India, that is directly accrue or arise from India. But if it is any indirect connection then we will call it income deemed to accrue or arise in India. We have certain example, certain cases of that which we have already discussed in that chapter. So if you want to understand this topic in detail, Mr. Navneet, so I would suggest you please go to the lecture and please see that lecture, full lecture. So you would be able to understand each and every point of the cases in which income deemed to accrue or arise in India. Okay, Mr. Ajay is saying shipping business, discontinued business. Very good, Mr. Ajay. Business closed down also. Of course, the special case in which the income of previous year is going to be assessed in the same year. Well done. Then there's one more concept, and that is for previous year. In case of undisclosed income. So if there is any undisclosed income sources, in that case also previous year would be not as per normal case. So can you tell me one or two example of those kind of cases which we can consider as undisclosed income? Any one example of that income which could be considered as income that is undisclosed source of income? Unexplained income, yes, we can say unexplained money. It's a better term actually, not unexplained income. Unexplained cash, credit, unexplained investment. Very good, Mr. Ajay. Unexplained expenditure also could be the case in which we will assess the income in the year in which we will find out that income is undisclosed or escape tax. There were certain cases, concept of income also we have gone through, in which we have discussed diversion of income versus application of income, etc. So these were generally the theoretical part of, we can say, from chapter number 1, what we have gone through in our first topic. In this basic concept chapter, there was one more topic, that was rate of taxes. Yes, Mr. Navneet, Hundi was also a case. Very good. Rates of taxes, before applying rates of taxes on any income, we have to check it out firstly, whether it's a optional tax regime case or a default tax regime case. So either we have to calculate tax under default tax regime or we are opting out from that regime. So there are separate rates of taxes in case of these two different kind of regime. So if you are under default tax regime, then of course there would be different tax rate structure. If you are under optional tax regime, there is different kind of tax structure. So before solving any question or before applying the rate of tax for calculation of tax, you have to firstly check, do I need to calculate tax under default tax regime or under optional tax regime? There are surcharge provisions also in these both cases. And when we have gone through with chapter 1, I have told you with the help of a diagram also or as per the provision also, surcharge provisions are technically same in both cases, whether it's a optional tax regime or is it a double default tax regime. But there is only one difference in case of surcharge. So can you tell me what is that one difference in case of surcharge, which is different in case of optional tax regime and default tax regime? Navneet is saying yes, of course, very good. Under optional tax regime, we will say the maximum rate of surcharge could be 37% if your total income exceeding 5 crore. Very well done, Navneet. But the maximum rate of surcharge under section 115 BAC would remain maximum 25%. It cannot exceed 25% in case of default tax regime. Very nice. Then the rebate concept is also there. Again, in case of optional tax regime, the rebate would be available if your total income is up to rupees 5 lakh. Up to 5 lakh rupees, if your total income does not exceeding 5 lakh rupees, then you can claim a rebate if you are in resident, of course. And the rebate would be the amount of tax or 12,500 rupees, whichever is lower. In case of section 115 BAC, the rebate could be maximum 60,000 if your total income is up to rupees 12 lakh rupees. 60,000 or amount of tax, whichever is lower. But there is a special provision in case of default tax regime in respect of rebate, which is not available in case of optional tax regime. In case of optional tax regime, if your total income exceeding 5 lakh rupees, you cannot claim the rebate. But in case of section 115 BAC, even if your income exceeding 12 lakh rupees, but up to a certain limit, then you can also claim rebate of tax that is allowed in case of default tax regime. And I have told you it was 12 lakh 70,580 rupees. If your total income is up to rupees 12 lakh 70,580 rupees, then you can claim rebate under default tax regime. So even if the provision says that the rebate would be applicable if your total income does not exceeding 12 lakh rupees, but technically if you'll see, even if in case of default tax regime, your total income exceeding up to 12 lakh 70,580 rupees, still you would be able to claim the rebate. I have explained it to you in the class in detail how it would be applicable. Okay, so Muskan is saying, sir, I have cleared CA Intergroup 1 with your guidance and support, relying primarily on BOS lecture. Thank you so much, sir. You're most welcome. Congratulations, Miss Muskan. I hope that we will see each other one day, and that day would definitely come in your life when you will be CA Muskan. So, congratulations, Muskan. And of course, you should thank the BOS also, because of course, they are doing a wonderful job. So, moving ahead, students. So that was surcharge provision and rebate provision and rate of tax provision. Then there are cess, which would be 4% in all cases. So if there is tax, there would be cess. And marginal relief concept also we have discussed in both regions. So in any case, if your difference of tax is exceeding the difference of income, then the balance or the difference could be claimed as in marginal relief. The provision we have discussed as with numerical also and the theoretical concept also under chapter number 1. So that was in case of rates of taxes. One more important part was agricultural income. In case of agricultural income, if you will see, there would be two kinds of provision. Some was theoretical provision. What is the meaning of agricultural income, types of agricultural income, what is the meaning of urban area, rural area, etc. That was theoretical provision. And the numerical provision also we have gone through. The numerical provision was, one is integration of agricultural income with non-agricultural income. The integration provision is very important. And the other one is composite business. There are some business, those having both kind of activities, agricultural as well as non-agricultural. And in that or in those business, there were three business in which we have a specific rate. In case of rubber business, in case of coffee beans, and in case of roasted coffee and tea. So a specific percentage has been defined, which was like 35, 65, 25, 75, and 60 and 40%. The lower would be taxable. That means non-agricultural income. The higher would be considered as your agricultural income. And for any other business, we have a specific rule to solve those kind of questions. So technically, we have discussed in chapter number 1 these provisions. And we are going to solve the questions which would be similar, the question which would have been asked in your examination regarding this chapter 1 and chapter 2. The chapter 2 is for residential status. And scope of total income. The provision we have already discussed that when any person would be a resident or non-resident, and the impact of his or her residential status would definitely going to impact the taxability of that person. How do we need to find a person who is a resident or non-resident, etc.? So we have gone through with all the detailed provision in those classes. But today I would like to tell you that when you start a question to find out the residential status of an individual, please follow this step firstly. That individual either would be a resident under section 6.1 or it would be a deemed resident. So there would be two kind of category of resident or deemed resident, section 6.1a. And this would be applicable. We will apply the provision of deemed resident only after if the resident section 6.1 provision does not apply. So we cannot apply deemed resident provision initially without even checking whether he is a resident normal or not. So first of all, you have to apply the resident provision under section 6.1. And if the condition does not satisfy, then you can move to find out whether that person is a deemed resident or not. And if that person is not resident under section 6.1, not a deemed resident under section 6.1a, then he or she would be automatically non-resident. But when you apply the provision, listen very carefully. When you apply the provision to find out whether that individual is resident or non-resident, you have to see, this is very important. When you apply this provision, you have to see, do I need to apply the normal condition? Do I need to find out the residential status of that individual after applying normal condition, or do I need to apply the special condition? Suppose normal conditions A. So there are two normal conditions. If the case does fall under normal condition case, then we have to apply two condition. One is more than equal to 182 days in India in previous year. We have already gone through with this provision. I'm just trying to tell you the process, how you will start that question. So the first thing to find out the residential status of any individual, first of all, apply resident concept under section 6.1. Do not try to check deemed resident provision before applying section 6.1 provision. Okay. And when you apply resident under section 6.1 provision, first of all, find out, do I need to apply normal condition to find out whether he or she is a resident or non-resident, or do special conditions are applied? So if normal condition applicable, then we have to check residential status like this, 60 plus 365 days. And if the special case is applicable, special cases are three specific special cases. If that individual is a citizen who is going outside India for employment or occupation, or is a member of an Indian ship, in that case, if this condition is applicable, if it's going outside India, citizen of India, going for the purpose of employment, occupation, or as a crew member of an Indian ship, then only one condition applicable. If he or she fulfill, he would be a resident. If not, then we have to check the deemed resident, otherwise it would be non-resident. Again, if that person is come to visit India, and whether it's a citizen or person of Indian origin, then again, only first condition need to check. And the third condition, if somebody is coming to visit India, whether it's a citizen or person of Indian origin, plus having income exceeding 15 lakh rupees from Indian sources, then there would be two conditions, more than equal to 182, and the second condition would be more than equal to 120 plus more than equal to 365 in 4 preceding previous year. So please listen very carefully. When you try to solve a question of residential status, please find it out whether A case is applicable or whether B case is applicable. If you're able to find out whether it's A or B case, 50% question is solved. The major problem is the student does not check that whether it's a special condition case or it's a normal condition case. So if not A, not B applicable, then of course we will check in deemed resident category, whether it's applicable or not. If it is not applicable under section 6(1)(a), then he or she would be a non-resident. We will see how to apply in today's class. I will show you how to apply these concepts. Okay. So Mr. Arun Sagar is saying every person is non-resident. Even person is non-resident. What is this? Even person is non-resident. Are we need to check two conditions, decide whether HUF is ROR or RNOR? No. If somebody is non-resident, then we do not need to check further anything, whether that individual or karta is a ROR or RNOR. It does not matter. When somebody is non-resident, the question is over. Okay, Mr. Arun Sagar? Sure. Navneet is saying, sir, in case of rubber, 35% business and 65 would be tax. Yes, of course, always lower would be your taxable value. And will be taxed less 35% BEL. What does that mean? Basic exemption limit. I don't understand what exactly you are asking, Navneet. Sure. So now we are moving on to the question part. Integration, yes, of course, integration would be always applicable, whether that's a rubber case or coffee case or tea case. If the integration condition has been satisfied, which says that should be a case of individual HUF, AOP, BOI, AJP. Your agriculture income should exceeding 5,000 rupees and your non-agricultural income should exceed the basic exemption limit. So if these three conditions is fulfilled, then of course integration would be applicable always. So moving on to questions. And let me tell you, these questions are very, very important. And I can assure you, whatever questions we are discussing under these revisionary classes, and might be because there are multiple questions, like 30, 40 questions are there for each topic, like each class. We have almost 8 questions, then 9, and then 7, 8 more. Almost 20 questions we have. Fine. So maybe we would not be able to cover all these 20 questions in a single class. But the notes has been uploaded regarding those questions with the solution also. So even if we are not able to solve all those questions in a single class, please do practice those questions. I'm giving you a hint. Please do practice those questions because these are the kind of questions which would be asked in the examination. So these all questions are a kind of question which could be asked in the examination. And if you practice these questions, test your knowledge question and your illustration, that would be enough for the purpose of examination. Do not bother about, or you should try some previous year question also, of course, 3, 4, or 10 question, that would be enough. And what question we are solving, if you find any point is different from the other question, please mark those points also as important or very important. That would really going to help you at the time of revision. So first question we are solving. So you can see the question is here in front of you. We will discuss the question and we will solve this question. So question says, Mr. Akash, an Indian citizen, age 45 years. So you can see these are important information which has been given in the starting line of a question. So it says Akash is an Indian citizen. So what will happen in this case if we need to find out the residential status? This citizenship could affect the solution because maybe a special case would be applicable, as we have discussed just before this. Worked in XYZ Limited in Delhi. He got a job offer from ABC Incorporation, California on 1st June 2024. He left India for the first time. Like these informations are also very important in a question. First time somebody is leaving, first time somebody is coming into India. So, before this date, he was always in India. To find out the preceding day's status, how many days he is in India before in preceding years. These kind of informations are utmost important, and you can mark these kind of information in your question paper. So you will not miss these kind of informations. And joined ABC on 8th August 2024. During the previous year, Mr. Akash visited India from 25th May till 22nd September 2025. So he's a citizen. He is coming back to India for visit. Now you can see your brain would definitely going to tell you that yes, this could be a special case scenario. He earned the following income. But the most important thing in the question would be what is the requirement? The requirement you should always read first. Without reading the last line that what is the requirement of question, do not start solving your question at all. Determine the residential status of Mr. Akash and compute his total income for assessment year 26-27 under default tax regime. So we have been asked two information to calculate. First one, the residential status of Mr. Akash. So I was going to solve this question on a separate whiteboard, but because we have a space over there and you can read the question and not a very huge solution, so we can solve it over here. So now you can see that it's an Indian citizen, so a special case has been applicable. For the purpose of finding out the resident, the special case has been applicable. Why it is applicable? Because it's a citizen of India going outside India for job permanently and now coming to India for visit. So we have to apply the second special condition. If somebody who is citizen of India coming to India for visit, so there would be 182 days condition only need to check. This is first case. And now first of all, we have to see how many days he was in India, and you will see on 25th of May 25, he was in India visit. So May 7 days he was in India, June, July, August, and September 22 days. So total number of days he was in India is 121 days. Because he is in India for 121 days, so he cannot fulfill the second condition. Now there would be a third condition also. For the person who is visiting India, it says either exceeding 182 days or either 120 days or more in India plus more than 365 days in 4 preceding previous year. But this would be applicable only if the income from Indian resource, is exceeding 15 lakh rupees. So this condition we can only apply if Mr. Akash income from Indian source exceeding 15 lakh rupees. Now in this question, we have to see whether it is or it's not exceeding 15 lakh. So this is California received in California computed salary. So this is not my income, which we can say from Indian sources. Yes, dividend from Indian company would be the part. So 5 lakh would be there. So if my calculation of my income exceeding 15 lakh, then we would apply point number 3. Agricultural income from land situated in Nepal, received in Nepal. So again, this is not an income which has been from Indian sources, we could say. Rent from received or receivable from house property in Delhi. This is the income which is technically deemed to accrue from India. But in case of house property rent, we can consider only 70% of it. You must have been gone through with the provision of house property. 30% is the deduction. Statutory deduction we can claim from the rent receipt. So from this 5 lakh 50,000, there would be only 3 lakh 85 could be treated as Indian source income. Then profit from a profession in California, which was set up in India, received there, but business is set up from India. And if any business is set up from India, we can consider it as an income from Indian sources. And 6 lakh would be this value. So these three value total would be 14 lakh 85,000. Now you can see because it's 14 lakh 85,000, it is less than 15 lakh. So this provision also not applicable. Even deemed resident concept cannot be applied because income does not exceeding 15 lakh rupees. So now, as per the provisions given, as per the information given, and as per the provision, now we can say he would be a non-resident. He would be a non-resident. Mrs. Chaitra saying, agricultural part, please explain, sir. Mrs. Chaitra, I would like to tell you that we have discussed complete agricultural part in detail already in our classes, the basic classes we have started. So it's on YouTube. In the playlist, you can go. In the playlist, you will find out the first lecture of basic concept, the second lecture of basic concept, and in the third lecture of basic concept, we have discussed the agricultural income in detail, numerical as well as theoretical provisions. So I request you, please go and watch that lecture so you would be able to understand the concept in detail. We cannot discuss those concepts over here because in this revisionary lecture, we are focused on to tell or teach a student how to attempt the question in the examination. Okay. Very good, Shamli. Up to 12 lakh Indian income. Navneet 120 plus more. Very good. So our income is 14 lakh 85,000. Very good, Shamli. So he would be a non-resident. Navneet is saying, but sir, if he was not citizen of India, then 60 days in previous year and more than 365 days. Yes, exactly. If suppose in this question, Mr. Akash is not a citizen of India and all other information is same, not a citizen, not a person of Indian origin, then both condition would have been applicable. That means 182 plus 60 and 365. And in that situation, he would have been fulfilled the second 60 plus 365 days condition. So he might have become the resident. And if you'll apply then to check whether he is a ordinary or not ordinary, I think he would be considered as a resident and ordinary resident. Exactly. So now you can see if somebody is going to miss this information, and if you are not finding that question that he's a citizen of India, you skip that information, you missed that information, then what you will do? Maybe in that case, that student is going to apply both condition, 182 and 60 plus 365. So of course, that would result in a wrong solution. So that's why I always say it's very important to find out whether this case is a normal case situation or a special case for. If you would be able to find it out, you would be really easy to find out the correct solution also. Okay. So now because he become a non-resident, and in case of non-resident, only two kinds of income are taxable. Those arise or deemed to arise in India, or those received or deemed to received in India. Now this cannot be taxed. This would be taxable. 5 lakh rupees is an income arise in India. This Nepal income cannot be taxed, and this rent would be taxable, 3 lakh 85,000. Again, this is set up from India income also not taxable in case of non-resident. This is taxable for resident and not ordinary resident. So now his income would be 8 lakh 85,000 rupees. So his total income would be 8 lakh 85,000 rupees. I hope it's clear. Mr. Nagaraja is saying if even he exceed 15 lakh, 15 lakh does not relevant if you are falling under normal conditions. Okay. So if he is not a citizen of India, then whether income is exceeding 15 lakh, not exceeding 15 lakh, that does not matter. Navneet is saying, sir, when TDS applicable income is given in the question, then we should deduct tax first, then add the income. Navneet, if the income has been given after deduction of TDS, then we have to add the TDS, then we will find out the gross income. We have already discussed this provision in TDS chapter. Grossing up topic we have discussed. So that would be the case, not fall under our basic concept topic. If you will ask me TDS concept, deduction concept, so we would not be able to complete our topic in this basic concept, etc. Mrs. Chaitra is saying if he stay more than 182, automatically resident. So, second question. Second question say Mrs. Sia D'Souza is an American. So again, as I've told you, always mark the information which you think is relevant. Got married to Mr. Kabir of India in New York on 14th February 2025. Okay. And came to India for the first time on 18th March 2025. She left for Australia on 16th August 25. She returned to India again on 23rd March 26. Okay. On 1/4/25, she have purchased a flat in Mumbai, which she was let out to Mr. Sameer on a rent of so and so from June. So April, May, it was not let out. It has been let out from June. Okay. She had taken a loan from the bank for purchase of this flat, and the bank charged interest, which has been given 2,05,000. While in India, during the previous year, she had received a gold chain from her in-laws worth rupees 150 and 165 from very close friend of her husband. So we have to find out the residential status and her income also, assuming that he shifted out of the default tax regime. So under normal, yeah, that means optional tax regime. We have to calculate the income, and before that we have to find out the residential status. अब देखो एक अच्छी बात क्या है. The good news, if somebody is not the citizen of India and not a person of Indian origin, so automatically always normal case apply, and that's a good news, because the normal case it's easy to solve, because you do not need to bother about the total income exceeding 15 lakh. You need not to bother about the deemed resident concept, three special cases, nothing. So both condition 182 days plus more than equal to 60 days plus more than equal to 365 days applicable. So we have to see how many days she was in India in previous year, 25, 26. So you can see she came in 18th of March. So we will consider from April. So from April, 30 days. April, May, June, July, and August, 16 days. She returned India on 23rd of March. So the last month also we have 9 days in India. So total number of days is 147 days in that year. And now you can see she does not fulfill this condition. She fulfilled this condition. 147 days she was in India, but she first time came to India on 18th March 2025. So only 14 days she was in India. In the preceding previous year, she was in India only 14 days. So does not fulfill this condition, does not fulfill this condition. And we are not bothered about the deemed resident concept, because we are finding out the normal case over here. So she would become a non-resident, and because she is a non-resident, now we have to find out the income. And you can see it's a question of basic residential status as well as the house property case. So that is like house property income and income from other source. You would be easily able to calculate it. So I would recommend it. You will please calculate it. It's a very simple case. If you will find any problem in the calculation of house property income, you can ask me. We will solve it in the second class, which is for salary and house property. But residential part, we have already solved in this question. Let me see if there's any query. Sir, how sir income computed before residential status? We are not calculated income before residential status. We are just finding out the income which is sourced from India or Indian source income, that we can consider even without finding out the residential status. Non-resident, very good Chitra, very good Navneet, 147 days. So she is a non-resident. And let me tell you, it's a very interesting fact that these questions are not simple question. If you'll go through with the last 3, 4, 5 years question paper, you will see some of these questions you will see in those examination questions. And I believe 70 or 80% question what we are discussing has been asked in the previous year examinations. So these are not simple question we are discussing. These are 6 marks question, and you can see these kind of question would be asked in the examination. What actually happened in examination? We are more nervous. We are more tense. So simple things we missed out. We messed up with the simple question. And that's you have to control only with the help of one thing, and that's called practice. In practice, the practice has no substitute. So if you practice more, that nervousness, that fear, of course, would be gone. Now, third question, moving on. Miss Geeta, a citizen of India. As soon as you will find out a citizen of India or person of Indian origin, start thinking about a special case could be applicable. Got married to Mr. Peter of Australia and left India for the first time on so and so date. Question. Now, let me tell you, this is a very, very interesting question. I am going to ask a question regarding this question before solving it. Okay, I will ask you one provision that she is a citizen of India, got married to Mr. Peter of Australia and left India for the first time on 20th August 2025. She has not visited India again during the previous 25-26. She has derived the following income for the year ending 31st March 2026. Certain income has been given. You are required to determine the residential status of Ms. Geeta and compute the business income and agricultural income of Ms. Geeta for assessment year 26-27. Now, my question to all of you is this: whether this case, Geeta case, would be under normal case. If it is normal case, I have to apply both conditions. Or whether it would be under a special case. So if it is in special case, we have to check 3 conditions. One is going outside India, but that is not applicable. One, we have to check the visit one. And third one is also for visit, but for that, we have to check the income exceeding 15 lakh or not. First of all, you have to tell me whether it's a case of normal case or do we need to apply the special case over here. Yosami is saying non-resident and her total income is 142,000. Okay, Navneet is saying 120 is special case. Just tell me whether it's a special case or it's a normal case. Nagaraj is saying special case. Yosami is saying special case. Okay, and it's a very interesting fact that you will see. When I write it down, this is not this case. You miss that information. You can see she has not visited India once she left India. This is a case does not fall in this category, not in this category, not in this category. This is our normal case. You know why? She left India. A citizen left India and going outside India. And if someone is going outside India for either employment or occupation or as a crew member, only in that situation, he or she can take the benefit of special cases. So she has been gone outside India for the purpose of marriage. So she left India permanently, but she does not left India for the purpose of employment, for the purpose of occupation, and not even as a crew member of an Indian ship. So if she left India for any of these purposes, then she would be fall in the special case. But because she went outside India for the purpose of marriage and she did not visit India, So if she is visiting India, then we can consider her in this case or this case. But no, she did not visit. She left India. She came not visit. She did not came to India for visit in the previous year. So technically, she does not fall in first case, not second, not third. It's a normal case scenario case. It's a very, very important question. Mark my word. This is important because this kind of question is not in your study material yet. So that is the beauty of these classes. We are discussing those kind of provision which we have not touched yet in test knowledge question and not in even illustration. So this is a kind of question which has not been given in the illustration. So if suppose this kind of query, this kind of question has been asked in the examination and you missed this class, I might think you may be not going to solve this question correctly because you might be feeling that that's a special case question. But let me tell you, no, that's a normal case question. So that means we have to find out the status applying this 182 days condition more than equal to 60 days and more than equal to 365 days. Okay, so now we have to find out how many days she was in India. If you will calculate, that would be 142 days. I have already calculated it. So if you will calculate from up to 20th August, you have to take in from April. So April, May, June, July, and 20th of August. It would be 142 days. This condition does not fulfill, but this condition is fulfilling. And she has went outside India first time on 20th of August. So in preceding previous year, she of course must be in India for more than 365 days. She was always in India before this 20th of August. So both conditions fulfilled. She is a now resident. Now after resident, the problem arises whether she is a resident and not ordinary resident or she is a resident and ordinary resident. So we have to find it out. And for the purpose of becoming a resident and not ordinary resident, she must be less than 730 days in 7 preceding previous year. Now you can see she was always in India before this year. So she is in India for 365 into 7 years. So this condition cannot be fulfilled. She is more than 730 days in India. The second condition is she must be 9-year non-resident out of 10 preceding previous year. Again, this is also not fulfilled because she was in India always. So she was out of 10-year, full 10-year resident in India. So does not fulfill this, does not fulfill this. That means she would be a resident and resident and ordinary resident in India. So the status of Miss Geeta would be resident and ordinary resident. And when you are a resident and ordinary resident, everything is going to be taxed in India. Everything. So now we will see out of these income from sale of centrifuged latex processed from rubber plants grown in Kanyakumari. So out of this, 35% is non-agricultural and 65% is agricultural. So this is going to be taxed 35%. Income from sale of coffee grown, cured, roasted, grounded in Colombo. It's in Sri Lanka. Sale consideration was received in Chennai. So this is full taxable 5 lakh rupees. This is not agricultural income. This is normal business income. Why? Why this is normal business income? Why it is not agriculture income? Why we are not applying 25/75 on this income? Who will tell me? Correct. It's in Colombo. The agriculture income could be treated if the agricultural land within India. So that's why it's going to be taxed full value of 5 lakh rupees. Now, in case of sale of tea grown in the manufacturing in West Bengal. So 40% is going to be taxed. You can calculate it. And income from sapling and seeding grown in a nursery at Cochin. Basic operation were not carried out by her on land. Still, nursery operation income is 100%, agricultural income 100% exempt. So this 35%, this 5 lakh, and this 40% is going to be taxed. That would be 1032500. You can see how interesting question. This is for 6 marks question. So if you would be able to apply the correct condition, whether this case fall under normal case or a special, you would be able to get full 6 out of 6 marks, because these point 1, 2, 3, 4 were too easy to solve, very easy to solve. The twist was only in case of finding out the residential status. Miss Kalpana Rani is saying outside India income. Yes, absolutely correct. Let me see if there's any query. No query. Very good. चलो भाई नेक्स्ट है, फोर्थ है हमारे पास. So you might be noticing that I am not teaching you any provision. No, today we are teaching. Today I am trying to tell you how to attempt question. And it's also very important to manage your question. It's not only the knowledge you can get success in your life, it's knowledge plus management. So reading, understanding the provision is knowledge. You learn everything. You know everything how to find out the residential status of a individual or a person. But how to attempt question is a different thing. So it's not necessary that a student who has learned each and everything will get the best marks in the examination. The best marks would get that student who has knowledge plus he applied that knowledge correctly. Like if you have knowledge of everything, every kind of provision, but you are not able to read the question properly, you are missing the citizenship concept. You just miss that letter, miss that information. What will happen? You will not get marks. So in these classes, we are just trying to tell you how to attempt question, because learning of provision is in your hand, but the technique that you, how to manage your question, how to attempt the question, how to read the information between lines, that is definitely a very important thing. So that would definitely going to enhance the approach, the way of attempting question. Okay. कल्पना रानी सेइंग सर ये क्वेश्चन पीडीएफ पीओएस पे अपलोड होंगे. यस यस, ये क्वेश्चन भी अपलोड होंगे कल्पना, और इनके सॉल्यूशन भी, डिटेल सॉल्यूशन भी. सो अभी आई एम जस्ट सॉल्विंग इन with the help of provision, just trying to make you understand, but the detailed provision with all the concept would be uploaded there on. Don't worry. Sagar, a chartered accountant, is presently working in a firm in India. He has received an offer for the post of Chief Financial Officer for a company in New York. Very good. Congratulations, Sagar. As per the offer letter, he should join the company at any time between 1st September and 31st October. He approaches you for your advice on the following issue to mitigate his tax liability in India. Now, very interesting question. Generally, we learn how to solve the question. Now the question has been changed. They just change the type of question, the pattern of question. You can see the question number 1, 2, 3. We were having the information when somebody has gone. Then we have to find out the residential status. Now the question is asking, now tell Mr. Sagar when he should leave the company so he can minimize his tax. Now this kind of question can be only solved by those students who understand the provision, who just understand the provision. So I need to tell Mr. Sagar to minimize his tax liability that he should be non-resident in India. We all know that if you're a non-resident, you have to pay less taxes in India. So after reading this question, I would suggest a case in which he would become a non-resident. So accordingly, I would have to suggest Mr. Sagar the date on which he should leave India. So his status would be non-resident. So this is a kind of course, this is based on the provision, but the pattern of question has been reversed. Okay, so when I should suggest him to leave India, so he could be a non-resident. For that purpose, I have to see, because Mr. Sagar is always living in India, so he must be a citizen of India, of course. He never went outside India. So because he's a citizen, and you can see he is leaving India, he is going outside India for employment. So all three conditions has been fulfilled. So he could fall under special case point number 1. Citizen, going outside India, and for employment. So he would be only treated as resident of India if he was in India for 182 days or more. So I would suggest a date. Till that date, he must have been in India only for 181 days. So I just need to calculate the number of days. Okay, April 30 days. So that date would be the date on which he should leave India. When it is up to 181 days. So April, he can spend time in India, May, June, July, August, and up to 28th of September. So till this date, he would be in India on 181 days. So I would suggest him leave India on 28th of September and do not visit India for any more number of days in this year because you have already in India for 181 days. So I would suggest him to leave India on 28th of September. So he would become the non-resident. Understood? Now the second point. I believe that question must have been asked in the examination because second point is very interesting. It's again a very interesting point, or I should say this question is again a very interesting kind of question. This is a different pattern kind of question. Direct credit of part of his salary to his bank account in Delhi, maintained jointly with his mother to meet requirement of his family. So what should we suggest? Because he becomes non-resident, and if somebody is non-resident, then only two kind of income is taxable in India. One is arise in India, arise or earn, or deemed to arise or earn, and one is received or deemed to receive. Does point number 2 fall under received or deemed to received in India or arise or deemed to arise in India? If yes, then I would suggest Mr. Sagar do not take income into the bank account. So can you tell me point number 2, does it fall under arise or deemed to arise case, or does it fall under received or deemed to received case? Navneet is saying agriculture income is more than 5. Yes, in that question, if question asks you to calculate tax, then you have to apply the integration provision. Nagaraj is asking, sir, how to write 6 marks question and get 6 marks. So when the solution of these question would have been uploaded, you can see how to answer the question properly. Even you can go through with the illustration, test your knowledge question solution. You can follow that provision, of course. Navneet is saying received in India. Thiyosami is saying non-taxable. Nagaraj is saying deemed to arise. Ajay is saying received in India. So if you directly received any part of your salary directly into his bank account in Delhi, that would be regarded as received in India. So we would suggest that you should not receive salary directly into India, because if you directly receive, that is going to be taxed whether you are a non-resident or not. So you should receive that amount of salary in New York bank account, and later on you can remit that salary. So if you remit that in the Indian bank account after receiving it firstly in New York, then that is not going to be taxed. But if you directly credit, that is going to be taxed. So we have to tell Mr. Sagar that you should not receive directly that salary in Indian bank account. You have to receive that salary in your foreign country bank account, and later on you can remit that amount of salary in your Indian bank account. So that would be the suggestion which we should advise to Mr. Sagar. Next. I believe you must gaining some kind of knowledge which would be definitely helpful in your examination. So you would see what kind of question can be asked and how do we need to deal those kind of question. Next is Mrs. Ria, age 62. Now age is also relevant. If tax calculation is there, then only, okay. Was born and brought up in New Delhi. Very good. She got married in Russia in 1996 and settled there since then. So she settled there in Russia. Since her marriage, she visited India for 60 days each year in her summer break. The following are the details of her income for previous year ended on 31st March 2026. Pension receipt from Russian government. Okay. Long-term capital gain, short-term capital gain, premium paid, rent receipt. What is the requirement of question? Of course, residential status and total income under default tax regime. So to find out the residential status, you can see she is visiting India 60 days every year. That means the special case would be applied. For the purpose of a special case, for the purpose of visit, it should exceeding 182 days. So this condition does not fulfill. The second condition, which is saying more than 120 days, that is also not fulfilled because she is in India only for 60 days. If you'll find out her income, in this question you will see she is not the citizen of India also. She is not a citizen of India also. So that's why we are assuming she is a person of Indian origin because she comes for regular visiting to India. And because she is not a citizen, so deemed resident concept also not applicable. Because deemed resident concept is only applicable for a citizen of India. And because she is continuously visiting into India, so we are assuming she is a person of Indian origin. That's why we apply the special case upon her. But as she does not fulfill any condition, even if you'll see her income does not exceeding 15 lakh. So in this case, she would be treated as non-resident. She would be treated as non-resident. For the purpose of a non-resident, only those income would be taxable, those have been arise or received in India or deemed to arise. So 3 lakh is going to be taxed, 60,000 is going to be taxed, and the rent received from a house property, 70% of this value is going to be taxed. That would be 63,000. So total value would be 4,23,000. And of course, we are under default tax regime. So the premium paid deduction, we cannot claim under section 80C under default tax regime. Nagaraj is saying, sir, why counted 28 days in RS? He only stays 150. 28 is regarding which question you are asking, Mr. Nagaraja? In Sagar case, 153 days. What 153 days? No, in Sagar case, we have to advise him that what should be his last date to stay in India until he achieves the status of non-resident. So he needs to join the company from 1st September till 31st October. Between this time duration, he does not leave India on 1st September. You need to tell Mr. Sagar that from 1st September till 31st October, which date he should leave to avoid the tax liability. So the correct date would be up to 28th of September. He does not left on 1st September. He came to your office to ask, tell me, Mr. Nagaraj, what could be the last date I can stay with my family in India, even if I do not become a resident. So he could go on 1st of September, but as a consultant, you will tell him that up to 20th September, if you will leave India up to 28th September, you would still be a non-resident. So he can stay in India for some more days to enjoy with his family. Okay. चलो भाई, ये हो गया फिफ्थ. Moving on to Mr. Sudesh, a 58-year citizen of India, serving in the Ministry of Finance in India, was transferred to Indian Embassy, UK on 15th of March 25. His income during the financial year 25-26 has been given hereunder. Sudesh did not come to India during the financial year 25-26. Compute his total income under default tax regime. And because Mr. Sudesh was an Indian citizen, he went outside India on 15th of March. And during financial year, he did not came back to India for visit. So he would be a non-resident. And there was a provision we have already gone through that if a non-resident who's an Indian citizen going outside India on behalf of government of India and receiving salary from India, that only basic salary is going to be taxed. And that would be regarded as arise and deemed to arise in India. So rent from a UK house situated in UK, received in UK, etc. is not going to be taxed for a non-resident. Foreign allowances, all allowances and perquisites are exempted. Only basic salary is going to be taxed. This would be regarded as deemed to arise from India. And out of this, we can claim the deduction under default tax regime 75,000. 8,50,000 would be your gross salary, net salary, or your total income. Very simple question. Now, Mr. Tilak, aged 35 years, furnished the following information regarding his income for the assessment year 26-27. Compute the total income if he is. Now, the status has been given in the question. You have to calculate his income considering in one case that he is a resident and ordinary resident. He is a ROR. And in one case, suppose he is a resident and not ordinary resident. Nagaraja, what are you asking? Sir, why counted 28 days in RS? He only stayed 150. Who is saying he stays for 153 days? How you are calculating 153 days? Give me that. How you are calculating 153 days? I have explained it to you. Sir, do we need to deduct SD in salary while calculate total income? Of course, Mrs. Lakshmi. How we calculate total income? The total income is the computation of all 5 heads of income. Then we'll add gross total income. Then we have to apply the deduction section 80C, etc. After that, we will come to the total income. So, of course, when you need to calculate the total income, you have to find out the final income under all heads of income. So, if it is salary, you have to deduct the standard deduction also. If the question asks you to calculate the gross salary only, then you need not to deduct the deduction, else you have to deduct it. Chalo. FTS of rupees 50,000 for services rendered in Malaysia to a non-resident for business in Malaysia. Credit to his bank. It's very important to find out whether income has been arised and whether the income has been received in Malaysia and immediately remitted to his bank account in India. So this remittance does not affect the taxability at all. But because you are, if a ROR, everything is going to be taxable. 50,000, this is not going to be taxed in case of resident and not ordinary resident. Profit from a business in England controlled from Bombay, out of which 25,000 is received in India. So if business is controlled from India, if you are a ROR, everything is going to be taxed. And if business is controlled from India, then this 3 lakh is also going to be taxed in India. Amount brought to India out of past untaxed profit. Past untaxed income does not have any effect on our current year income calculation. Capital gain on sale of land in India but received in Malaysia. So because it has been sold in India, arise in India, going to be taxed in both cases. Income from agricultural land in Nepal, 18,000 received there and then brought to India. So in this case, everything is going to be taxed. 18,000 is going to be taxed, but not going to be taxed in this because brought and remittance does not affect your taxability. He paid 50,000 toward principal payment of loan taken for construction of his self-occupied house. This is deduction part. Interest on saving bank, deposit in State Bank of India. Again, it's a deduction part. Let me see any other income detail is there. No. So this 80C, 50,000. Interest income, 12,000 would be there and 12,000 would be there. 80C deduction for payment of principal amount can be claimed. 80 TTA deduction of 10,000 for interest can be claimed. Same 50,000 deduction and TTA can be claimed over here. The remaining would be your answer. Nagaraj is asking, sir, Indian embassy work for India, why not consider resident? Residential status would be on the basis of how many days you are in India or outside India. Whether you are working in Indian embassy does not affect your residential status. So he was not in India, not even for a 1 day in previous year 25-26. So if you are not in India for any number of days, then you would be a non-resident. So do we read any provision regarding like in case of residential status? Mr. Nagaraja, that if you are in Indian embassy, you will be considered as resident? No. The residential status depends upon the number of days you stay, and there is no Indian embassy exemption, etc. is there. So that's why he or she would be always non-resident, whether working for Indian embassy or not. Sure. This was question number 7. Moving on to question number 8. Correct, Yusami. ROR income would be 520 and RNOR would be 4,52,000. Absolutely correct answer. Sure. Mr. Madan, a citizen of India and Karta of an HUF. Now, two person involved in this question. Mr. Madan as an individual and the Karta of a HUF is employed in Messrs PCS Private Limited. He is drawing monthly salary of 65,500 in India. On 1st June 25, he purchased one residential house property in Mumbai for 18 lakh. In his individual capacity, the market value is 32 lakh. The value for stamp duty, this is for house property and capital gain provisions. He managed business of HUF from USA when he was out in India. So because he is not in India, he is managing the business from outside India. From USA when he was not in India. He also gone out of India for 99 days and 201 days in previous year 24-25 and 23-24. He had never gone out of India prior to that date. He visited India from January 1-26 to January 15-26 for training on a project and received 15 days salary in India as per his Indian monthly salary before being transferred. We have to find out the residential status of Mr. Madan and HUF and compute the gross total income of Mr. Madan for the assessment year if he's opted out of the default tax regime. Now we have to find out the residential status of two persons. One is for Mr. Madan and one for HUA. So can you tell me what is the way to find out the residential status of an HUA? What is the way to find out the residential status of a HUA? There were very simple provisions according to which we have to find out the residential status of HUA. So what is the status of HUA? Okay, so Navneet is saying meeting held in India or outside India, then resident. Outside India is non-resident. Karta and management, the residential status of Karta, Diya is saying, Pasla is saying Karta and management, Nagaraja is saying just section 6.5, very good. So what is the basic concept of taxability? The control and management. The provision what we have gone through in case of finding of the residential status of a HUF, we have to find it out the control and management. That means business meeting. So if all business meeting has been held outside India, then HUF would be regarded as non-resident. But if partly it's controlled from India, then HUF would be regarded as resident. So in this question, if you will see, he's a Karta of HUF is employed and he managed business of HUF from USA when he was not in India. So technically it's saying he managed the business from USA when he is not in India. That means he managed the business from India when he is in India. So technically, partly the business has been managed from India. And if partly it has been managed from India, that means HUF will become a resident. If HUF become resident, then we have to see whether his Karta does follow these two conditions. If Karta will follow both of these conditions, then HUF become resident and ordinary resident. And if Karta does not follow any of these conditions, then HUF would become resident and not ordinary resident. Condition is the opposite condition we have discussed when we have gone through with the HUF provision. The Karta must be in India for at least 730 days or more. 730 days or more in 7 preceding previous year. And both conditions should be satisfied. He must be resident for at least 2 years or more out of 10 preceding previous year. So if both conditions fulfilled, then HUF would be a resident and ordinary resident. And if any of these conditions does not fulfill, then HUF would be a resident and not ordinary resident. Clear? Now we have to apply these conditions on this Karta, and you will see Madan a citizen of India. First of all, we will find out the status of Madan. Then we will see whether he is fulfilling these conditions or not. Because when we will find out the condition on Madan, we will automatically get our answer for these two conditions. Citizen of India employed in TCS Private Limited. He is a drawing salary of so and so. On June, he purchased this. The overseas branch paid him a salary of so and so. He managed business. He also gone out of India. So technically, you will see he is a citizen going outside India. So condition 1 would be applicable. Special case would be applicable. 182 days in India. Then he would be regarded as resident, otherwise non-resident. Citizen of India. And you will see the overseas branch paid him so much of money. he has gone out of India for only 99 days and 201 days in previous year 24-25. He had never gone out of India prior to this date. So if he has not gone outside India prior to these 2 years, so that means he will satisfy this condition automatically. He must be in India for more than 730 days and he must be resident for all those years except these 2 years maybe. So both condition fulfill. That means HUF would be resident and ordinary resident. But for the current year, he visited India from January 1, 26 to January 15, 26. And he left India in current year April 30, May, June, July, August, September 1 day, and January 15 days. Total 169 days. He was in India. Only 169 days he was in India. So technically he would be a non-resident. So he left India for employment purpose. And if you left India for employment purpose, then only first condition need to be checked. And in that situation, he would be considered as a non-resident. And that's why the income taxability would be the part of total income case. We have to find out the residential status of HUF and this individual in this question. Yes, Nagaraj, control and management, resident, 730 in 7 previous year, more than 729, more than 2 years. Correct, Naveen. Both conditions should be fulfilled. Now we are moving on to our RTP question. RTP 2026 question we are going to discuss. Very interesting question. Of course, very important question also. And as I have already told you, this kind of question is going to be asked in the examination. So RTP question says, Mr. Subhash, an Indian citizen. Whenever you see this point, these points will definitely going to very important in the examination. Currently in employment with an overseas company located in country X. During the previous year 25-26, he comes to India for 135 days. He is in India for 100 days, 50 days, 76 days, 45 days in the financial year so and so, last 4 preceding year. His annual income for the previous year 25-26 is as follows. 2 lakh from salary and from outside country, house property in country outside India, income deemed to be arise or received in India, income from retail business control from India, income accrued and arise from India. Determine the residential status of Mr. Subhash for assessment year if he is not liable to pay tax in country X. Is this information has some relevance? What is the importance of this line? This line we are actually reading first time in our all these questions what we have discussed. The relevance of this line is very important. This would be really important for the purpose of Mr. Navneet is saying POIU. No, not the correct answer. He is not liable to pay tax in country acts. A special case, Mr. Ajay is saying, not exactly correct, Mr. Ajay. I would like to see the correct answer. There's something else. This information is having some hint for all of you that maybe in this question that provision is going to be applicable. Yes, very correct, Mr. Navneet, this time. Deemed resident. For the purpose of deemed resident, it is important, it is a mandatory condition that in that other country taxes are not applied. So if there is a information like this that in the outside India country tax is not applicable, then you should keep in your mind that maybe in this question deemed resident provision would be applicable. So now we will see Indian citizen working outside India, comes to visit India, so that means special case applicable. Special case 1 comes to visit more than equal to 182 days, not applicable. The condition number 3rd technically, which is for visiting purpose, he's a citizen, then we have to see 120 days plus more than equal to 365 days. Before that, we have to see the income from Indian sources is 16 lakh rupees. So income from Indian sources exceeding 15 lakhs. So now this condition could be applicable. He is in India for 135 days in previous year, and in the 4 previous year, he was in India total 271 days. So this condition does not fulfill. So he could not be a resident as per special provision. So now we need to move on to the deemed resident provision. And you can see for the purpose of deemed resident, you should be a citizen of India. You should have income from Indian sources more than 15 lakh, and there should not be any tax in the other country. All 3 conditions has been fulfilled, so he would be treated as deemed resident. And if somebody is deemed resident, then he would be treated as resident and not ordinary resident automatically. Now see, in this question, we need to calculate only the residential status. So once we find out the answer is resident and not ordinary resident, the work has been done. Even if the information of question has showing some incomes information. So if as a student, after finding out the residential status, resident and not ordinary resident, suppose you are going to calculate his total income. You are saying, okay, this is not taxable, this is not taxable. These 3 are taxable, and you are going and to find out the total income is 16 lakh. There is no requirement of doing that. Let me tell you. The question was only to find out the residential status. Once you find out the residential status, the answer is done. Please do not solve questions unnecessary. Unnecessary. That will not going to give you any extra marks. No extra marks would be there if you going to calculate the total income. Even you will lose some marks because you will sacrifice some time in this calculation. And that could be a very dangerous thing in the examination because time is everything. So please read what is the requirement of question. Once you find out your answer, your work has been done. I hope it's clear. Very good. Now we will solve case scenario kind of question. The case scenario kind of question we will solve one by one. And I guess before that, we should take a small break. And after the break, we are going to solve these case scenario kind of question. If you have any query, student, you can ask. And if there's no query, then we will take a short break. Yes, Mr. Kuldeep, correct. Restrict up to what is required and not tempting to solve. Yes, there are some situation I have seen students that there is question, there is no requirement to solve the question any further. But because they know the answer, they know, okay, we can solve this question like that. And there may be a routine habit that when there is a question of residential status and incomes are given, generally question asks you to calculate the total income as in the other question we have seen, but not in this question. So you have to see if the requirement is not there, please do not waste your time. That would be completely waste of time. It could cost you a lot. Sir, in question number 7, AI is accrued and arise in Nepal, then why is taxed? Let me see. Miss Sheikh Farzana is asking in question number 7. Let me just give me a second. For Nepal case. क्या नाम है आपका Farnaz Sheikh. In that point, income from agricultural land in Nepal of 18,000 received there and then brought to India. So that is going to be taxed for ordinary resident. if you are a resident and ordinary resident, then all kind of incomes are taxable. Everything is going to be taxable. Like you are asking this point, income from Nepal. Brought in India does not have any impact on my question. So I am not reading, I am not taking this into my solution. But up to this point, I have to see that the income is there. If income is there, then it's going to be taxed in case of resident and ordinary resident. We did not consider point number 3. You might be confused with this point. This is not my income even. This is my current year income. This is untaxed past profit. This is not my previous year 25-26 income. That's why we did not consider it. But this income is for my previous year. So if you are a resident and ordinary resident, then wherever you receive that income, wherever you have earned that income, whether you remit to India or not, that is going to be taxed in the hands of at least resident and ordinary resident. We have specifically discussed this topic in the main classes. So if you want to understand this point clearly, kindly go, I guess, the initial 3 classes for basic concept. Class number 4 is for residential, class number 5. So you should go and watch class number 5 for scope of total income. In that point, there is a format we have discussed, and we specifically discuss these past untaxed profit incomes case and these kind of remit or brought case. So that would give you a clear thing why we have included this income in our calculation. Mrs. Chitra is saying, I will in the exam hall fully mind is blank. What will I do, sir? Please give me some tips. Look, there would be a fortnight program for this kind of problem that we are going to discuss. I guess on 18th of March, there is a fortnight program for this kind of problem. But let me tell you, if you are blank, there would be only one reason that you have not practiced well. So we would be always confident if we know that we have practiced well. If we already know that this chapter I don't know correctly, these kind of question I am not able to revise in the examination, that will make you feel more nervous. So you have to be practiced, you have to revise properly, and this kind of nervousness is normal. So for overcome that kind of nervousness, it's a very simple thing. Always attempt easy question first in the examination. Do not go and read the long question. Find out the most easiest question, whatever you find, whether it's from GST or from accounts or any paper. Find out the easiest question portion in that examination and try to attempt that. That will boost your confidence and this nervousness will be gone. If you attempt a difficult question, you would be more nervous. So this is the only solution for this kind of problem. Be prepared well, confident about yourself, practice a lot, revise a lot, and in the examination, even if this type of problem is there, please go and solve simple question first. Tomorrow, fortnight program, 3 p.m. direct tax. No, sir, CA intermediate, it's on 18th, I believe. It's not tomorrow. I believe it's on 18th. CA intermediate. Maybe GST program would be there, but for income tax paper 3A, it would be on 18th of March. So I guess no more query yet. So Mr. Manish, can we take a small break? Thank you. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I believe you must have your copy tea, etc. So we were discussing basic concept chapter number 1 and residential status chapter number 2, questions from RTP, MTP, etc. So now the time is to take up case scenario based question. A case scenario based question. First is Mr. Shashikant, and this question is having very interesting point. Mr. Shashikant, age 45 year, is an Indian citizen and a member of the crew of Singapore bound Indian ship engaged in carriage of passenger in international traffic departing from Chennai port on 29th May 2025. So in these kind of questions, in this kind of question, we have seen that just give me a second. In these kind of question, we have seen the calculation is different from normal question because you are an Indian citizen, member of an Indian crew going outside India. In that situation, we have to find out the residential status by taking total number of days of that year, 365, and we have to reduce the days he is outside India. Then the remaining days would be the days stay in India. On the basis of that, we will find out whether he is a resident or not, because that's a special case. And for the purpose of calculating days stay outside India, we have to take the starting day from the certificate in respect of joining of the ship till the date of the certificate in respect of signing of the ship. So technically from 29th May 25 till 19 December 25. These number of days we will consider him as outside India, and that would be 205 number of days. So total would be 160 days he was in India. So technically he would be a non-resident. In case of case scenario question, we have to find out what is the requirement of question. So first question was find out the Mr. Shashikant residential status for the previous year 25-26. So the correct answer would be option number C. Now, on the basis of the fact, the question says he stayed in India for the last 4 previous year preceding the previous year 25-26 for 400 days. All these informations are irrelevant now. Period of 750 days in the 7 preceding previous year, etc. He received salary of 7,20,000 in his NRE account maintained with State Bank of India, Chennai branch. Dividend declared by X Limited. So the question was, first point we have solved. Now question number 2, what would be the total income of Mr. Shashikant for assessment year 26-27? Now if you will see, he is a non-resident. Dividend declared by X Limited, a Singapore company, the same was received by in Singapore, it's not going to be taxed. Agriculture income from land in Pakistan received in India. So for a non-resident, the income those have been received in India is going to be taxed. So technically, 250 is going to be taxable income. Rent received from house property in Chennai. So again, 70% of this is also going to be taxed. 2,52,000. But now the crucial point, the important point, the most interesting point is this. He received salary of 7,20,000 in his NRE account maintained with State Bank of India, Chennai branch. Either this should be treated as deemed to received in India or not. If the answer is yes, then we have to add this income also. And if the answer is no, then my total income would be only these 2 points. So what is your opinion, student? Is this salary income is going to be taxed as income deemed to be received in India or not? Mr. Nagaraj is saying no. Navneet is saying yes. Kuldeep is saying taxed. deemed to be received as per Pasala, deemed to be received as per Mahalakshmi. Mrs. Chaitra is saying yes. Ajay is saying yes. Theosami is saying yes. And the correct answer is no. This is going to be exempted. Why? Let me show you why. So this is our chapter, what we have discussed under residential status. Just a second. Fine. And if you'll see in this chapter, there was a page number 13. In that page, there is specific circular has been given. Page number 13. You can see here is the circular. This circular is applicable in that point what we have just saw. Clarification regarding liability to income tax in India of a non-resident seafarer receiving remuneration in NRE account. And you can see circular number so and so, dated so and so. It says income by way of salary received by a non-resident sailor for services rendered outside India or on foreign going ship and received into NRE bank account maintained within Indian bank shall not be included in the total income. So this circular is applicable in that point. And let me tell you a very interesting thing. If this question has been asked in the examination, 90% or more student is going to include that salary for the purpose of calculation because they might not be able to recall this clarification. So this is in on page number 13 of the notes I have uploaded, and it is also in your study material, page number 2.16, 2.16. I have copied this from your study material, of course, and we have gone through with this point also when we have taken the class. So this circular says in case of NRE, if you are a seafarer, if you are a seller, non-resident, then even if the salary has been created in your bank account, still that is not going to be taxed. So that's why this 7,20,000 is not going to be taxed and your income would remain 5,02,000 rupees. Interesting point. So those who are not attending today's class and not going to watch this class on YouTube later, and if this question has been asked in the examination with this point, let me tell you, they are going to include this in the income and that could result in the wrong solution. So the correct answer is option number C. Next. Assume for the purpose of answering this question that Mr. Shashikant has transferred his house property in Chennai to his minor married daughter on 1st April 25 and his wife is a housewife and does not have any income. The minor married daughter received the rent from house property. In such case, what would be the total income if he opted out of the default tax regime? So if Mr. Shashikant transferred that to minor married daughter, then she will be treated as the owner or deemed owner. Shashikant would not be treated as the deemed owner. Section 27 would not be applicable. But the income or the rental income would be clubbed in the hands of Mr. Shashikant. So the rental income is how much it is? Rental income is 360. Technically 2,52,000. So 250 is going to be clubbed in the hands of Mr. Shashikant, and out of that we can claim the exemption of clubbing income 1,500 rupees. So that is going to be clubbed. The remaining value is going to be clubbed 250, 500. And the value already included 2 lakh rupees. So the correct answer would be option number A. So this is a clubbing provision. We have just discussed it over here. Then the tax liability we have to see. The Shashikant would like to minimize his tax liability, consulted you to compute the same for previous year 25-26. This is based on the point number 2 question. So income was 5,02,000. You have to calculate tax under both the regime, default tax regime and optional tax regime, assuming that he is a non-resident. So no rebate would be there. Under default tax regime, the tax would be 5,300. Under optional tax regime, there would be 13,420 rupees. So this would be lower. So the correct answer would be, in this case, C. The minimum tax liability would be 5,300 rupees. Rebate would not be applicable because he is a non-resident. I hope it's clear, students. So, moving ahead. We see if there's any query. Very good. Default में exemption मिलेगा. Correct, Mr. Navneet. Mr. Nagarajan is saying tax nil. No, because rebate would not be applicable. So tax would not be nil. I hope it's clear now. Moving forward, case scenario number 2. Mr. Kishan is engaged in the following activities on agricultural land situated in India. Total area of land is 5 acres. So this is connected to your agricultural income concept. Activity A, he grows up sapling or seeding in a nursery. Before that, we should see what is the question requirement. First, it is asking what amount of income arising from activity A would constitute agricultural income in the hands of Mr. Kishan. So activity A information has been given that he is running a nursery, growing, spreading over on 1 acre land. Sale proceed 5 lakh, cost of plantation is 140. So the net income is, of course, 360. Basic operation not performed, does not matter if you are running a nursery, whether basic operation performed or not. It would be a agricultural income. So the question was asking how much would be the agricultural income. The correct answer would be option number C, 3,60,000. It is exempted, non-taxable. Now, what is the requirement of question number 2? What amount of income from activity B with respect of sale of cotton would constitute agricultural income and or business income in the hand of Mr. Kishan? Now we have to take the activity B. He grows cotton 3 acre land. 40% of the cotton produced is sold for 4 lakh. The cost of cultivation is 2,25,000. So this 4 lakh minus 2,25,000. That means 1,75,000. This is agricultural income. Because no non-agricultural activity involved. This is pure agricultural activity. This is full agricultural income. The cost of cultivation of balance 60% cotton is 337,500 and the market value of the same is 6 lakh, which is used for the purpose of manufacturing. So technically the 40% part is used for agricultural purpose full. So this is my agricultural income. But the balance 60% cotton has been used for agricultural and then processed and manufacturing yarn. So this 60% is composite activity. For the purpose of composite activity question, I have told you in the agricultural part that you have to solve this question two separate parts. Agricultural activity separate, non-agricultural activity separate. So when you solve the agricultural activity part, you have to assume yourself as a farmer who is just producing the agricultural produce and selling it into the market. So if the cotton has been sold, not converted into yarn, this value would be the sale price and cost of cultivation, which has been given 337,500. That is going to be cost of cultivation and the net profit, which would have been 2,62,500 would be agricultural income. And when you are solving non-agricultural activity, you have to take this as a purchase. So this is my 6 lakh would become purchase. Manufacturing expenses 1 lakh rupees. And the selling price would be 8,50,000 rupees. So the net profit would remain 1,50,000. This would be my non-agricultural income. So out of activity B, if you will see 175 and 262,500, these two would be your agricultural income and 1,50,000 would be your non-agricultural income. So option number. The question was, what amount of income from activity B with respect of sale of yarn constitute agricultural? So it is asking what amount of sale of yarn would be agricultural business. So the correct answer would be B. 262,500 would be the agricultural and 150 would be the business income. The next is, what amount of income arising from activity C constitute agricultural income or otherwise in the hands of Mr. Kishan? So the C activity now saying land measuring 1 acre is let out to Mr. Ramesh on monthly rental of 15,000, which is used by Mr. Ramesh as follows: 50% for agricultural, 50% for non-agricultural. So we have gone through with the provision that if you let out your land and the person is using, the tenant is using this for agricultural purpose, then the rental income of your will also be treated as agricultural income. So 15,000 for 12 months, the rental value is 180. 50% is for agricultural purpose. So that means 90,000 would be your agricultural income. The correct answer would be option number D. And that is going to be taxed under income from other source, because that is not a rent for building. There's a rent for land, and land rent would be taxable under income from other source. Compute the gross total income for so and so. So you can calculate the all income. 150 is your non-agricultural income and 90,000 rent, which is for other than agriculture activity. That would be your gross total income. The correct answer would be option number A. Okay. Navneet is saying, sir, minor ka minor exemption not allowed as per default tax regime. So why you claimed? In that point, it has been written that assume that we are shifted out of the default tax regime. I have marked it. Shifted out of the default tax regime. In this question has been mentioned, shifted out of the default tax regime. So we have to solve question under optional tax regime. That's why we have claimed 1,500 rupees exemption. Okay. Got it. Chalo. That was question number 2. Welcome, Mr. Navneet. Okay, Mr. Zucaro. So Mr. Zucaro, age 42 years, a Singapore citizen. So it's a good news. Because he was Singapore citizen and not a POIO, so special cases does not apply. General provision apply. Visit India for business purpose on a regular basis. Very good. He was in India for the first time in the year 21-22 for these number of days, then 190 days, then 145, then 155. In the current financial year, along with the family, he came to India on 10th August for a pleasure trip. His family returned to Singapore on 31st August. However, he stayed back and complete business commitments and then returned to Singapore on 17th November 2025. Very good. Zucaro owns a manufacturing unit in Singapore. He basically comes to India for procurement of raw material. He has appointed Mr. Manish as a dependent agent in Mumbai who procures raw material. Procures means purchase raw material from India and then export it to Singapore to his manufacturing unit, then sell the finished products there. Okay, so he just trading, he's purchasing the raw material from India and then using it outside India in his manufacturing unit, and then he is selling the finished product outside India. The income of 875 was received in Singapore out of his activity in the previous year. So and so purchased residential property, sold property, cap gain, etc. Zucaro also purchased agricultural land in India, leased it out to the tenant for agricultural income, etc. Previous year, this, that. Now we have to answer the following question. First of all, the residential status. The very good news is, he is a Singapore citizen, not a POIO. So both condition need to check. More than equal to 182 days. More than equal to 60 days plus more than equal to 365 in 4 preceding previous year. So in the current year, if you will see, Mr. Zucaro was in India for August, 22 days, then September, then October, and then he stayed back India, and on 17th of November, he went back. So 17 days of this, so it would be 100 days. So first condition cannot be fulfilled. Second, this is fulfilled. And last 4 years, he was in India for total number of days. I need to calculate. It was 270, 190, 145, 155. 760 days he was in India for last 4 preceding previous years. So he's a resident in India. Because he's a resident in India, then we have to find out whether he's a resident and not ordinary resident. For that, he needs to fulfill any of these 4 conditions, less than 729 days in India. And you will see, as it has been given in the question, that he was in 21-22. 270 days, 22-23, 190 days, 23-24, he was in India for 145 days, and 24-25, he was in India for 155 days. The total was 760 days. So now you can see, in last 7 preceding previous year, he was not in India for less than 729 days because it's 760 days. The second condition which says that you have to check whether he is a non-resident for at least 9 out of 10 preceding previous year. But if you'll see, in this previous year, he is more than 182 days in India. And if someone is more than 182 days in India, he always become resident. So in this year, he would be a resident. Again, in this year also, he is more than, he become resident. And I have told you, if somebody is for 2 years resident out of 10 preceding previous year, then this condition cannot be fulfilled. So both of these conditions cannot be fulfilled. So he would be a resident and ordinary resident in India. Mr. Zucaro would be a resident and ordinary resident in India. So the correct answer would be option number 3. आते हैं क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 पर. Assume for the purpose of answering this question only that Mr. Zucaro is a non-resident in India for previous year 25-26. So in the above point 1, he was resident and ordinary resident. But now question 2 says, suppose he's a non-resident, only for this question. Would income of 875 earned though activity of procuring raw material for manufacturing unit in Singapore be taxable in India? So he was procuring goods from the help of the agent, and that goods have been transferred to the Singapore manufacturing unit. Okay. And after using it for manufacturing, those goods have been sold as a finished goods outside India. So can we treat that purchase of raw material of rupees 8,75,000 income generated out of it be arise or deemed to be arises in India or not? We have discussed this provision, kind of provision in the chapter. Correct. So if somebody is purchasing goods from India, then whatever income he earned after that purchasing from in India, after selling outside India, or after manufacturing sale, it does not be considered as income arise in India. The correct option is B. The third point is for capital gain, so we are not going to discuss it. Agricultural land point we can discuss. Would income earned from agricultural land given on lease is taxable in the hands of Mr. Zucaro or not? The rental income, if the other person is using that land for agricultural purpose, that could not be considered as taxable income, that is going to be exempted. The tenant share a portion of his agricultural income. So that means tenant is using it for agricultural purpose. So that cannot be taxed. So the correct answer would be in this case, option number A. Case scenario number 4. उड़ गया इसका case. Okay. Mr. Rajan, age 62 year. An Indian citizen resides. So now it's an Indian citizen in Delhi. His wife Sheetal and daughter Ria also reside with him. Very good. Ria, age 16 years, studying in 12th standard in DAV school. Rajan left for employment. Now, Rajan left for employment. So, special condition could be applicable. Dubai on 15 September 25, but his family did not accompany him. He returned to India on 25th of March 26. Rajan had gone outside India for the first time in his life. During April 25 to September 25, he was working with a multinational company in Delhi. He earned salary of 14 lakh from his job in India, paid tuition fee of 180 for Ria's education in DAV school, etc. And apart from that, Mr. Rajan also earned professional fees of 60 lakh from India. So his income is more than 15 lakh rupees. You can see that. Now, what is the residential status of Mr. Rajan for the previous year 25-26? Now you can see he left outside India for the purpose of job. So that means special condition number 1 would be applicable. So he would be a resident if he satisfy first condition. Now you will see when you read this question in full, he also earned income of 6 lakh in Dubai, no tax paid payable, no tax paid payable in Dubai. So when you will have that kind of information, that means maybe deemed resident concept is going to be applicable. He went outside India and he also returned to India on 25th of March. So he comes back to India also for visit. So going outside India and comes to visit. So we have to check the condition 182 days. He was in India for 175 days. If you calculate the number of days he stayed, that would come to 175 days. So this condition does not fulfill. Condition number 2 is more than equal to 120 days. Is for visit, but he left for job purpose. So only this condition for outside India would be checked. And now because as per section 6.1, he does not satisfy the information, then point number deemed resident would be activated. Section 6.1a. He went for outside India for a job. So The condition 1 need to be checked, 182 days. The third point condition, which is for those person who reside outside India, comes to visit, would not be applicable in this case. So we have to check now deemed resident case. As per deemed resident, now you can see his income is exceeding 15 lakh. He is a citizen of India and there is no tax on income of Dubai, in the income of Dubai. So all the condition fulfill, he would be treated as a deemed resident. And once you become the deemed resident, in that situation, you would be considered as resident and not ordinary resident. So the correct answer would be option number D. What would be the income chargeable to tax in the hands of Mr. Rajan under the head salary? He has been shifted out of the default tax regime and you can see his salary income was 14 lakh. So out of 14 lakh, he can claim the deduction of 50,000 and the taxable salary would be 13 lakh 50,000. This is for deduction topic. The tax liability, of course, after deduction, you can calculate the tax liability. The solution would be there. I would like to solve more questions. Those are connected with residential provisions or basic concept of it. Okay, now Mr. Animesh, an Indian citizen, age 61 years, has set up his businesses in Canada and is residing in Canada since 2011. He owns a house property in Canada, half of which used by him for his residence and half is given on rent. Converted into INR, so and so. This is for house property information. The stamp duty value, etc. also given for the purpose of capital gain provision. The Mr. Animesh, whenever he comes to India to meet its parents, Mr. Animesh visited India for 124 days during the previous year 25-26. Before that, he visited India in total 360 number of days in last 4 preceding previous year. Okay. So his income has been given over here. Now we have to see what is the requirement of question. What would be the residential status of Mr. Animesh for assessment year 25-26? So he went outside India. He's a citizen of India. He went outside India, comes to visit. So if you comes to visit and a citizen of India, then a special case would be applicable. Either you have to fulfill more than 182 days condition, which has not been fulfilled by Mr. Animesh in this case. Then the second is more than equal to 120 days plus more than equal to 365 days if your total income from Indian sources exceeding 15 lakh rupees, which is exceeding in this case. In current year, he was in 124 days and in last 4 years, he was 366 days. So he would be a resident in India. Now, after becoming a resident of India, now we have to find out either he fulfill any of these conditions less than 729 days. The answer is yes, because he was in India only for 366 days. So the correct answer would be option number B, resident, but not ordinary resident. You can see the questions are repetitive. Almost the same questions are there, but majority questions are related to the special condition. So to find out the special condition applicability, if you are able to find out that correctly, you definitely would have an edge to solve that question very correctly. So before solving the residential status question, my suggestion is to you is please focus on which case is applicable, whether it's a normal case or it's a special case. That will make a difference in the solution a lot. Next is Manisha is a research scholar pursuing her PhD. She is unmarried and her parents are living in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Her parental grandparents and other family relatives are staying in South Africa. She was in India with her parents till May 2021. After then, she went to London for further education. In October 24, she returned to India. On 28th March 25, she traveled out of India to Johannesburg in South Africa for a research, etc. She returned on 1st October 25 to participate in the 156th birth anniversary celebration of Mahatma Gandhi. So she came back on 1st October 2025. Now we have to see whether she returned back during this previous year or not. And you will see in this connection, you attended and etc. 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 She won this, she won that, and she is not going back. Manisha does not manufacture any of the Khadi products. All financial transactions are carried out in account pay checks. These are for business purpose. Her paternal grandfather is the Karta of the family HUF. Her paternal grandfather comes to visit in India for 6 months every year since 2014. The HUF is managed outside India and all decisions regarding the HUF are made outside India. Default tax regime opting out, you have to give the answer correctly. So we have seen all the decision of HUF has been taken outside India. So HUF status would be automatically non-resident. Now the taxability of gift received by Manisha. This is other source provision, total income. This is not our questions, of course. Case number 7. Again, this is our last case. Yes, we have completed the RTP, all the case scenario related to this, and this is our last case. Case number 7, Mr. Raj. Mr. Raj, 38 years, an Indian citizen, is carrying on manufacturing business in Canada. He frequently visits India for business purpose on a regular basis. He was in India for the first time in the year 22-23 for 190 days. So for 22-23, he was in India for 190 days. 23-24 for 145 days. And 24-25, 155 days. Afterward, he decided to close his business in Canada and shift permanently in India. So he came to India on 1st November and started a business in Mumbai. So he came to India on 1st of November 25. So if you'll calculate November days, 30, December 31, January 31, February 28, and March 31. Total number of days stay in India would be 151 days in previous year 25-26. Clear? Now the question says, his profit from business in Canada till 31st October 25 is 15 lakh and from Indian business is 5 lakh rupees. So can you tell me whether do I need to consider this question as a special case or should I consider it as a normal case? First of all, tell me whether it's a special case scenario question or it would be a normal case scenario question. That means if you will say it's a normal case scenario question, so I have to apply the both condition, more than equal to 182 days. And the second one is more than equal to 60 days plus more than equal to 365 days. And if it is a special case, then we have to check. First one is for outside India, so that is not applicable. The second and third, we have to check, and then we have to check the deemed resident also case. So what is your opinion, students? Normal or special case is applicable? And the reason also? Arun Sagar is asking, So if person become resident under 120 days and 365 days condition, then they directly become RNOR, right? No, wrong. If it is 120 days and 365 days, then you have to find it out as per the condition which has been given in the provision, that whether it's less than 729 days or 9-year non-resident out of 10. And for that kind of person, one more extra condition is there. If he's in India for 120 days or more, but less than 182 days. So for that kind of resident, three conditions need to be checked to become a resident and not ordinary resident. If any of that has been fulfilled, then he will be considered as a resident and not ordinary resident. Okay, Arun? Okay, so Chaitra is saying normal case. Nagaraj is saying normal case. Arun Sagar is saying special case. Diya is saying special. Chaitra is saying normal. Okay, Chaitra, why you are saying this is a normal case? Why? What is the reason behind it that you are saying it's a normal case? Ajay is also saying it's a normal case. So what is the reason behind it that you are saying it's a normal case? Kalpana is saying, sir, can you explain the surcharge applicable after 2 crore topic included special income? We have discussed the surcharge provision in our basic class in detail with the help of the diagram. So I would suggest to you that if you want to understand the provision in detail, please go on YouTube, find out the playlist. In that, I guess the class number 2 of basic concept, we have discussed the provision regarding rate of taxes and surcharge. So that would really helpful, and that will give you a crystal clear picture that how surcharge is applicable in different case scenario. Okay. Chetra is saying he's an Indian citizen. No, no, no. Indian citizen, if he's an Indian citizen, then a special case should be applicable. Ajay is saying Indian income not exceeding 15 lakh rupees. This is the case. No, there is something else. That's why. Okay. The correct answer is normal case provision would be applicable. But I want to know why. Nobody has given me correct answer. Why in this question normal provision I am applying? Not due to the income exceeding. He is not employed outside India or not come to visit, but for do business. Miss Mahalakshmi is almost right, but he is coming back permanently. This is the main reason. Permanent. This is not called visit. Visit means temporary somebody is coming to India. Then we called it visit. But if somebody is shifting into India permanently, then visit, it cannot be said as a visit. And if it is not a visit, then a special condition cannot be applicable. So because he's coming back to India permanently, that's why it's a normal case. Now, as per normal case, first condition is not fulfilled because he's in India for only 151 days in the previous year. But 60 days condition has been fulfilled because he is in India for 151 days. And if you will see, in the 4 preceding year, he was in India for 490 days. And 490 days means this condition has been fulfilled, so he would become a resident. But because now he become a resident, now we have to see whether to become a resident and not ordinary resident. Does he fulfill any of these conditions? So of course, yes, he fulfilled this condition because in the last 7 years, he is only in India for 490 days. This condition has been fulfilled, so he would be a resident and not ordinary resident. So that would be correct answer would be option number A. Question number 2 is for long-term capital gain. Question number 3 is again for calculation of income, including the long-term cap gain, etc. Okay, in this case, the total income comes to 5,48,750 rupees. And we have to calculate tax as per, he wants to opt out of the default tax regime, opt out. So you have to calculate tax on 5,48,750 rupees. So can you calculate the tax? What would be the final tax liability and which is the correct answer out of these 4 options in this case? Calculate tax upon 5,48,000 under optional tax regime. Let me see. Any correct answer? Ajay is saying 23140. Navneet is saying 23140. Nagarja is saying nil. How nil, Nagarja? Why it's nil? We have to solve it as per optional tax regime, not as per default tax regime. The correct answer would be 23140. Tax would come 22250 and 4% cess of 890 rupees. The aggregate would be 23140. Jain, correct. Arun is saying, sir, if HUF is resident, even Karta is non-resident, are we need check to condition decided whether HUF is ROR or RNOR? Yes. If HUF is a resident and Karta is non-resident, so being a Karta, whether you are a resident or non-resident, it does not affect the status of HUF. If controlled and managed by partly in India, HUF become resident. So Karta, how many number of days he is in India out of those 7 preceding previous year? Or how many year he is a resident in preceding 10 preceding previous year? That would matter. The current year status of Karta, whether resident or non-resident, does not matter, but the preceding year status of Karta is matter. So we have to see that. Nagarja is saying no rebate. Rebate is up to 5 lakh rupees, Nagarja. It's income exceeding 5 lakh rupees, then there would not be any rebate. He is not a non-resident. Rebate could be available, but if the total income does not exceeding 5 lakh rupees. Okay, Arun Sagar. So the current year status of Karta does not matter, but the preceding year status could affect. Because you have to see out of 10 preceding previous year, 2-year resident should be Karta. And out of 7, the number of at least 730 days or more, the Karta must be in India. So these two conditions must be fulfilled to become a HUF, a resident and ordinary resident. Okay. Any more queries, students? तो वैसे तो रिविजनरी क्लास में हम कोई स्टोरी भी नहीं करते हैं. रिविजनरी क्लास में कोटेशन ऑफ द डे भी नहीं होता, बट हमने अपना सारा पार्ट कंप्लीट कर लिया एक्चुअली. जितने भी क्वेश्चन है वी हैव डिस्कस्ड ऑल द एमटीपी क्वेश्चंस, आरटीपी क्वेश्चंस एंड केस सिनेरियो कंप्लीटली. तो फिर टाइम है तो 2 मिनट में आप लोगों को एक दो बात बोलता हूँ. देखो, एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग कोटेशन मैंने 1-2 दिन पहले पढ़ा, एंड वो कहता है being slow and focused is the fastest way to achieve the goal of your life. So how interesting this is. Being slow, still you can be fastest, but being slow and focused is the fastest way to achieve the goal of your life. So even if you are slow, does not matter, but if you're focused, you will get your life goal, whatever it is. So being slow is not a bad idea. If you're focused on being slow, that is only the best way, the fastest way, because there is no shortcut in our course. You have to take the stairs. You have to do the hard work. And छोटी सी बात मैं आपको बताता हूँ. एक एनिमल होता है बाइसन. बाइसन शायद आप लोगों ने सुना हो. इट्स लाइक बुल, काइंड ऑफ बुल. ठीक है. एंड वो बहुत ही स्नो वाली जगह पे रहता है जहां बहुत स्ट्रॉम आते हैं एक्सेट्रा. तो जब स्नो स्ट्रॉम आता है उसके सामने से, तो बाकी सारे जो एनिमल हैं वो अपोजिट डायरेक्शन में भागते हैं, मतलब स्ट्रॉम से बचने के लिए भागते हैं. स्ट्रॉम इधर से आ रहा है तो वो सब वापस भागता है. बाइसन उसे क्रॉस करता है. बाइसन भागता नहीं है, उसे पता है मैं भागूंगा तो स्ट्रॉम है वो कैच कर लेगा, और फिर उसमें ब्रीथ करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. वो बहुत टाइम तक स्ट्रॉम के अंदर फंस जाएंगे तो बहुत मुश्किल है. तो वो चूज करता है कि आई विल क्रॉस दैट स्ट्रॉम. तो जब वो क्रॉस करेगा तो वो स्ट्रॉम इधर से आएगा एंड ही विल क्रॉस. तो वो जल्दी उसे क्रॉस कर जाता है, उसको ब्रीदिंग उतनी कंट्रोल नहीं करनी पड़ती. बट अगर वो अपोजिट डायरेक्शन में भागेगा, थक जाएगा एंड देन स्ट्रॉम के अंदर आएगा तो बहुत टाइम तक ब्रीदिंग स्टॉप करनी पड़ेगी. वो बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. तो वो उसको क्रॉस करके पार कर जाता है एंड वो जल्दी से सेफ हो जाता है. सो व्हेन लाइफ गिव यू डिफिकल्टी, डू नॉट रन अवे. लाइक कोई भी सब्जेक्ट है जिसमें आपको प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, इश्यू आ रहा है, जस्ट प्रैक्टिस, उससे भागो मत. कोई चैप्टर, कुछ ऐसे टॉपिक्स होते हैं, आई हैव सीन दैट कुछ टॉपिक होते हैं ऐसे हर सब्जेक्ट में, हर स्टूडेंट के लिए जो बहुत डिफिकल्ट लगते हैं. मे बी इन कैपिटल गेन टॉपिक, मे बी हाउस प्रॉपर्टी किसी के लिए बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, मे बी सैलरी, मे बी टीडीएस, एनीथिंग. और कोई सब्जेक्ट भी हो सकता है. तो जितना आप उससे भागेंगे ना, आप सोचेंगे कि इसको छोड़ दूंगा ऑप्शन में, उतना वो आपको प्रॉब्लम देगा. तो आपको उसे करना ही है. अब उसके लिए अपना रूटीन चेंज कीजिए, हेल्प लीजिए सीनियर से, प्रैक्टिस करो, पुराने क्वेश्चंस देखो, 4 बार रिवीजन करो, 5 बार रिवीजन करो. नथिंग इज इम्पॉसिबल. सो इफ यू वांट टू डू समथिंग, there is no way that you can't do something. The only problem is we want to do something but we do not want to work for it. उधर प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी. तो अगर किसी काम को करने की इच्छा है और करना भी चाहते हो तो वो पक्का हो जाएगा. सिर्फ इच्छा होगी और मेहनत नहीं तो नहीं होगा. सिर्फ मेहनत होगी लोगों के कहने पर और इच्छा नहीं होगी, खुद से मन से नहीं करोगे तो भी नहीं होगा. Okay, so we will see each other day after tomorrow, and we will discuss the provision of salary and house property. It's my advice and request that please do revise salary topic and income from house property topic. So that's why when we will solve the questions regarding those topic, it would be really fruitful for you. You will be able to understand the provision and the question so easily. So I guess there is no more query. So Manish ji, can we close the session? Nagaraj is saying I am RTP solving, then help your revisionary classes some clarified. Definitely. Good way. You should practice RTP, MTP, past year questions, case scenario. That would be enough. So Manish ji, can we close the session now? Done. Yes. Okay, bye. Good night.